You are cordially invited to the Austin Rover Motorsport media launch for the 1984 season. Date 24th of February 1984. Location Excelsior Hotel, London, Heathrow. 40 years ago this month, an icon was born officially, although the rumours had been flying around of an Austin Rover rally car for quite a while in the specialist press. But finally the car was under wraps, and the car was to be known as the Metro 6R4. Taking £2 million and 3 years to get to this stage, the initial idea had been to evaluate a Rover V6 powered, front-engined, rear-wheel drive Metro silhouette rally car. But that concept was discarded quite quickly, as the front engine would have meant that Tony Pond would have had to sit so far back that he wouldn't be able to see the front of the car. A centrally mounted V6 was chosen for accessibility, mated to a contemporary four-wheel drive system, something that was changing the face of international rallying as the Audi Quattro had been rewriting history throughout its continued success. In the 3 years that Williams Grand Prix had been involved, it wasn't necessarily a given that the Metro was going to be the donor car. The Maestro and the larger Montego had also been considered, but they found that they were able to get quite a bit of kit into a small silhouette, and only needed to increase the wheelbase and the track by a few more inches in order to make the car stable enough for the Metro to be the perfect small, compact rally car, which would be ideal for some of the twistier circuits on the rally calendar. rally design featured a Rover V8 with twin Webers with 2 cylinders locked off the block to make a 2495 V6 delivering 240 brake horsepower. Where a lot of people are mistaken is that this isn't the engine that went on to feature in the fully developed rally car. The radically different 320 brake horsepower V6 that came the following year was developed specifically, and that engine went on to feature in the Jaguar XJ220 as well as the MG XE supercar prototype. Now that used basically the Metro 6R4 running gear, and it's a story, that engine and what happened later with the Tolman stretched 6R4s, that's worthy of another video in itself.
Now power away you go. Keep it going. Whoa, nice and steady. Right here obviously. Looking into where you want to end up, go down. Use the hook, back of the power, away you go. Towards it.
Bobbling around a lot on that bit.
Yeah, just getting the crap off the tyres down. So back on the power, then lift and turn, back on the power, then lift and turn, back on the power, go. Good. Not too much, hold it, go, 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 good, squeeze it, go, keep it stable, nice, that's fine, hold that now Dan, hold that, all the way through, good, well done, remember it's a little bit greasy here, you'll swear that through the space, that's it, not too much. Nice and steady, round you go. Duck it in, duck it out. As soon as you're square, back on the power. Go, 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 go. That's it.
Bit early on the power there.
That's fine, don't worry about it. That's it, so round to the right, a bit quicker. And then slow it down just a little down, tuck it in. Stay off, wait. Go, squirt it. Late braking, down the gear, just turn it in, let it come round, ease off, back on the power, away you go.
That's it.
That's it, so wait, power, go. Land it, left first. That's it, now braking. Slide it round this one if you can, so ease off, wait, power, go, go, go. There we go, boys. Be confident, power on, go, 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 good, well done. It's a little bit early again, but we'll get in. There we go. Back on the power, go, go. Feel the car. Lift and let it turn, let it slide, wait. Now power, go, 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 go. There, Dan, well done. Back on the power, off we go. Squeeze it, go. Temperate. Nice work.
That was a nice one.
Well done.
That felt good.
The car was to be tested in British national rallies and selected European events before finally entering the WRC event at the RAC Rally in 1985, leading to a season in the World Rally Championship in 1986. Sadly, the last year of Group B, the potential of this and other cars was never to be fully realised. However, as I mentioned earlier, the story doesn't end there, and we will do another video on that at a later date.
My name is Wyn Mitchell. I was involved with the 6R4 not quite from the beginning, because obviously it is a Williams design car, but when it came to Austin Rover at Cowley, I joined the department soon after that, and my responsibilities were basically everything but the engine. But I had two good blokes helping me, it's Richard Hurdwell on chassis and Bernie Marcus on aerodynamics, but that was it. It was just sort of looking after looking after particularly the transmission and all the test work we did for the following years until Group B went dead, which was a bit of a shame. It was, yes, but it was a very we were very busy, very exciting time, a bit trying, but we worked hard at it. But I can look back on it now with, I know it's an inanimate object, but almost with a bit sort of emotion. It wasn't as quick as the turbocharged cars eventually were, but when you consider 400 horsepower in a four-wheel drive car weighing about a ton, it's incredible in itself. I mean, if you have a ride in a 6R4, you think to yourself, the world is coming to an end. Like, you know, as I said, it's not as quick as the turbo cars, because they were 500 horsepower, maybe 500 plus, but when the decision was made to go naturally aspirated, when Austin Rover combined with Williams on the car, the only competitive car at the time was the Audi Quattro A2, which was 360 horsepower. So they thought 400 horsepower in a car lighter than the Quattro would be a front runner. But by the time the 6R4 actually started rallying, I mean, Patrick Head at Williams, who was chief designer there, said you should be on the Evolution model now. In other words, the next version of the 6R4. The gestation period was too long, really, with Williams doing their bit and then us doing our bit. But,
now, I've spoken to Jimmy McRae, who said similar things. It was the best year of his career was driving the 6R4, and he hinted at some of the things that were around to make the car more competitive. Well, can you hint at anything?
The maximum power of the engine was adequate. It's not a turbo where you can just turn the boost up, but the drivability could have been improved, and in fact it was a bit of a problem. The drivability, it was although it was a big 3-litre engine, you had to rev it, whereas you would think that it would have a full torque curve all the way through, but during that time it didn't. No, and every engine we built went in a rally car, because that was the pressure on us. We didn't really spend the time just doing engine development, because we were rallying. You know, it was a very, very congested program. You know, it was it could have been better, but hindsight is a fantastic gift, isn't it?
So the evolution that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Do you think that would have bridged the gap?
Yes, yeah, it wouldn't have bridged the gap, but it would have made the car more competitive, and on certain events which suited the car, it would have been very competitive. You know, I'm not going to say a winner, but it would have been very close on some events, definitely. Plus, with Tony driving and Malcolm, Tony and Malcolm were the two works drivers then, and we had Harry Toivonen and David Llewellyn and Jimmy McRae with the Pro Drive cars. So there were some good drivers there, capable of winning events with a modified version of that car or an evolution version of that car. Yeah.
Now, I've spoken to David Llewellyn.
Oh yes, right.
And I've spoken to Jimmy McRae.
Yeah, right.
And both have said that Group B wasn't the problem; it was the spectators,
Absolutely.
Especially in some of the European rallies.
Portugal, in particular,
yes.
where Santos killed those people.
Yes.
I mean, it was Sintra with the first three stages out of Lisbon, and before the rally, when we were down there getting the cars ready, Tony took me through those stages, and they're winding roads through a parkland with the land going up like covered in trees. So the spectators stood at the side of the roads because they couldn't see because of the trees. And Santos, who was driving an RS200, some people say it was too quick for him. I'm not going to say that, but Tony said he was a local hero, and before the start the chanting was going Santos, Santos, so I don't know whether he got worked up. And the story is that a very, very quick section, there was a spectator in the road, he took avoiding action, and then he lost the entry to the next curve and went into the crowd.
That's the story I heard as well.
There was that, but you see what I don't understand, he's a golfer, isn't he?
Yeah.
The head of the FIA, he banned group cars from the end of the year. Well, if it's on safety grounds, he should be immediately.
Yes.
Not sort of in 8 months' time or whatever it is. It is a contradiction.
As well, it was just the cars. They just centred all the attention on the cars.
Yeah. You see, what they were doing, they'd stand in the road, watch the car coming, run to the side, and then run to the middle of the road and watch it going past. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Walter Rose said, you've got to look at them as trees, not human beings, and just drive them. But they can't see the road. Drivers can't see the road signs, can't see the shape of the road.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Yes.
And before the event, Marco Ellmore went on television making an appeal to the spectators to be sensible.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
I think that was the problem.
It was. Particularly those first three stages, which were very close to Lisbon.
Yeah.
So the crowds just came out of Lisbon to watch the cars. Of course they did, but not really safe stages. And the marshalling was diabolical. Apparently, quite a number of cars went through not knowing about the Santos's accident at rally speeds before any sort of restriction was put on them or the stopping of the stage. It is madness on the part of the authorities that were concerned with the Portuguese rally.
But now, with the reverence that the 6R4 is seen in, and I've spoken to a lot of Group B fans, and it's the 6R4 they all comment on, the sound and the sight of them.
It's absolutely
must fill you
definite.
with a pride.
Yes. I've done a lot of reading of my test books recently, and I look at that, and then I look at the car, and I thought, we lived with that car. We lived with that car. You know, it was a little devil, and it tried to defy us all the way through its life. You know, but we slowly got to grips with it because it was a handful. Little thing like that with 400 horsepower doesn't make sense, does it?
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, difficult car to drive, and it needed somebody pretty skillful to drive it competitively. Yeah.
And Tony Pond was what's in my mind a hero.
Yes. He was, of course. He tested the car while it was at Williams as well. He was the test driver, helping out down there, because John Piper was one of the chief design engineer down there, and however good you are as an engineer, you're different from a driver. I can promise you that. Yeah. So Tony was with it from virtually the word go until it finished. Yeah.
Well, thank you ever so much for giving us your time, and
Pleasure.
thank you for all your work on the car, because you're all heroes to us.
Pity we didn't see a checkered flag.
Jimmy McRae, thank you so much for your time and for agreeing to speak to us. As a fan, it would be remiss of me not to talk about your career, because 5 times British Rally Champion, still a record, I believe.
It's still a record, yeah. A couple of people have got close to it, 4, but they've never managed the 5th one. So.
Well, you're only a stone away from, a little stone away from the 6th, weren't you?
I was actually I was 2 stages away in the Manx Rally with the Metro 6R4. The bloody cam belt broke, and
it's the little things that killed.
The last of the 400s, the Manta 400s, was and even the 86 car was a better car than the 85 car, but by that time, Group B cars, they did a Group B Manta, but it was still 2-wheel drive. But they struggled against 4-wheel drive, and obviously, when I left, because of the sponsorship we had on my car was AC Delco, and they were pulling out in 85, and GM Dealer Sport were looking for a sponsorship deal for my car, and it didn't happen. So they kept Russell on with the Manta, and that's when I managed then to get the drive of the 6R4, and I was very disappointed that I was getting moved. I was getting fired basically from Opel because we didn't have a sponsorship for the car. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was probably the best thing that happened, because it gave me a year with the 6R4.
So how did the 6R4 come about? Because that neatly fits into the to where we're heading.
It was a deal. Well, I had nothing, and I went to David Richards at the time. It was David Richards Autosport, and said I had already spoken to what was his name in the Austin Rover, John Davenport.
Yeah,
I'd spoken to John Davenport, but he said they had already signed up Tony Pond. Well, Tony Pond was there, but then they'd signed up Malcolm Wilson, and he says, I don't think we can do anything for you, but he says, I'll keep things open. So I went to David Richards, and I said, what about it? I said, I think I could get help from John Davenport, Austin Rover, but obviously did the money to run the car and everything. And David Richards said right away, he says, we'll do it, we'll find the money. And we went and had one Sunday, I flew down to David Richards' place, and we drove from David Richards to John Davenport's house, and we sat down and had a meeting. And David Richards and John Davenport didn't get on all that well.
Oh, right.
And David Richards said to me, he said, I don't think he'll do a deal with me, but we'll see. So when we left on the driving up the road, we said, what do you think? I don't know. I said, I think the deal might be there. He said, I don't know. However, on the Monday morning, he got a text from John Davenport, send a van down, and we'll give you all the bits, you build the car. So David had to build the car, then fine, with Shell. I had a deal with Shell, then I had a deal with Dunlop Tyres, then it was through that David got the Rothmans money, and that was how it went. And it was a year I'm glad I never missed. Although it was disappointing at the end that we didn't win the championship, and it was disappointing at the end as well, because there was the possibility that I would have got quite a few World Championship drives the following year, but then they were banned. The cars were banned.
So the car was built. First test jumping into the Metro. What kind of experience was it as a...
The first time I drove the Metro was from the van to the scrutineering at the breakdown rally. Yeah, I went to a test. An Austin Rover test, and Tony Pond. I sat in with Tony, and at the end of the day, I drove the car in the test. The works car. I can't remember where the test was. Abroad somewhere. But I had literally half an hour in the car. One of the things was Tony says, I sat beside Tony, and I thought, once or twice I thought, whoa. And he was smiling all the time because he knew, he says, I'm going to frighten you.
Yeah. I think that was, I can imagine that it's the little bit of the devil in there.
Oh, I know. Because when the mechanics put me in the car, he says, you better tighten your seatbelts. And I said, you're right. And Tony said, I'll bet you spin it when you first time you drive it. I said, no, I'll be fine. However, I did one big spin. He says, you've got to watch that, they're short. And Tony was quite a help, actually.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, short wheelbase, 4-wheel drive, big diffs front and rear. Robin Hamilton said they're quite agricultural in a certain because of the just to take all the forces going through. So okay, scrutineering. Your first drive in the car, and you go out on the first stage.
The first drive on the car took a wee while. I can't remember now where I was, but I was getting better. Then it started, it snowed, it was a very snowy event. I thought this will be good 4-wheel drive, but this car was handling terrible. And I got to the guys, I said, I accelerate the car and it's going to the right. And so they changed the diff, they changed them, still doing the same, changed things again. I says it's going the opposite way. And on the national breakdown event, in these days you had a chase car at the end of the stage and it would follow you on the road section. And I said, look, we were on the radio to them. I said, look, I'm going to drive along here at 30 mile an hour or whatever it was, and I'm just going to floor it. But I'm only going to touch the steering wheel. I'm not, and you'll see what happened to the car. And when you accelerated, it went to the right. And then they did other changes with it. And I said, it's no better, it was going to the left now. And they said, no, it can be. I said, follow me again. Did the same again, I went to the left. But anyway, I can't remember where we actually finished.
I suppose it's a learning curve for them at the same time.
Well, no, it was. And the rally, the finish up was stopped because the weather was that bad. The stages, the opening car and ambulances couldn't get into the stage, so they stopped the rally, which we thought, thank God for that. And it wasn't until the guys went back, and they'd been on to Austin Rover as well to see what was happening. They thought, I don't know what's causing that. And it wasn't until they got back and they took all the tyres and everything off the roof of the van, and they were rolling them along the workshop, and they noticed that the tyres were different sizes.
Oh goodness!
Dunlop had made a cock up of it. They had given us the snow tyre. There was only the snow tyres. The two stages I did where we were on normal. I think we were tarmacking one point. Then there was another one where it was the normal gravel tyre.
Yeah.
We were either quickest or second quickest in that stage. But whenever we went on to the snow tyre, and it never dawned on anybody.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It wouldn't, would it?
And I got a photograph through the next day. The mechanic said, we found a problem with your car. And he says, it's nothing to do with Austin Rover, it's nothing to do with us, it's bloody Dunlop. And of course, when they were changing the tyres round about.
Of course, they just swapped. Yeah.
So I thought, oh well, that's another learning curve.
Now that's another thing I remember hearing about 604, that the hydraulics were powered by the front diff, which they discovered in the snow stages in Sweden meant that you had no hydraulics because it was slipping. So
oh right,
I
I can't remember that. Yeah. Oh, there were one or two things about it. The what was the other thing with it? The power steering.
Actually, I think it might be the power steering that was powered from the front diff.
Power steering, right? The power steering wasn't. It wasn't the best, but I mean we managed with it. Yeah.
So that was the first rally.
Mm.
We'll if you're happy to, we'll go through the season and because this is.
Well, the second rally was the Circuit of Ireland.
Yeah.
And again, I can't remember. We had a problem early on. We were lying. David Llewellyn was leading in the Metro. Then I think we had got in front of David, and then we were leading.
It was between the two of you.
Yeah. Then on one of the night stages, I clipped. There was a dry stone dike, and there was a rock sticking out, and I just caught the wheel, and it broke the front track control arm, and that was us out. So that was a disappointment, because I think we were giving David a good run for his money in the Circuit of Ireland. But anyway, then the next one was a disappointment as well. Was although we finished second in the Welsh rally, we were having a real ding dong battle with Hannah Mikkola.
That's right, and wasn't that the one where David had the big crash as well?
David was leading initially, then he had a big crash, which, to have the type of crash he had and to see he'd come out the car, because there were a lot of people thought they weren't that strong, the cars, but I mean he tested it to the best.
I spoke to him last year, and he was full of praise for the 6R4, and he said it was that shell and that cage saved him. He said he mentioned that crash.
And a lot of guys said, oh no, it was because it was a smaller cage, and it was sort of built in, to the car more than the bigger diameter cages, and a lot of people said, oh, I don't know about that, but David tested it. So I went on after that. Then we had a real ding dong battle with Hannah Mikkola.
And he was in an S1, wasn't he?
Aye, he was in the Audi, and we had, I can't remember what the lead was, like a 40-second lead, and two stages to go. Then everything was all, we went into a service, his car was all done, jacked down, went to drive out, and the car stopped. Went back in, and it was a fuel pump. Well, by the time they changed the fuel pump, we had dropped, we had got road penalties because we were running late. So we dropped from what would have been a definite first place, I think, to second.
So it was competing with the 500 brake horsepower Audi.
Audi, and back in the earlier days, I was never as confident in the Welsh forests, because quite often Russell and I had a ding dong, and Russell would get the better of me in the Welsh forest, and that was the first time that I'd led the Welsh rally, and it was, we're chuffed to bits, but then simple thing like that happened, So, anyway, that was another thing. The pumps were in a very difficult place to get at, and it just took the mechanics that long to change the pump, and well, we got the road penalties, but we still finished second. What did we do after that? Oh, the Scottish.
Yeah.
But that was a disaster. Every metro except one. All the metros retired with dust. The dust problem, the dust get into the engine.
Right.
Tony Paul and David Lell, mine, and there was, I think, Per Eklund. The only one that finished was David Galander. He was running a private one.
Yeah.
There was only Metro to finish out of, I think there were 6 Metros in the rally, and David was the only one to finish. So that was a bit of a disaster. That was an air cleaner problem, in all the works cars, which David's wasn't a works car. It had an older design or something, but it was a better design. Ulster. Oh, we won the Ulster.
Yes.
We won the Ulster. I can't remember much about it, but I know we won the Ulster.
Very fast though, that event. I mean,
it was.
Going through the dry stone walls.
No, it was. Then obviously the Manx, and we were lying a second to Tony, and very comfortable. And the last day, I think we were going to win the championship, but it didn't happen. Bloody cam belts.
Did you do the RAC that year?
Did the RAC that year as well, and again Dunlop let me down because I think we had 6 punctures. We were there. I think we finished. Can't remember. We finished 7th, something like that. But we were up swapping times with Tony Pond in certain stages, and we were there or thereabout. But there was 6 punctures we had, 6 or 7 punctures. So.
Well, I might well have seen you because that was when I was at college, at finished college that day, and they were overnighting at Aintree.
That's right.
Not Aintree, at Albert Dock.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I got as close as I am to you to the cars, and it was that was what got me hooked. So you probably drove past me because I saw all the 6R4s driving past. So we've almost met before. It was a year. I'm glad that I didn't miss. I mean, it was there were a lot of disappointments, but to drive that car and really gutted that the whole Group B was. To be honest, I find that frustrating because it seems to be politics more than. The problem was the crowds.
The crowds. It was nothing to do with the cars.
You see people coming out to try, to get closer to the cars. And I mean, as a cameraman, I've had to film cars at speed on tracks, and I'm always cautious to take every possible. You know what I mean? I wouldn't jump out into a track and try to get back again. It's just ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, and they had a bit better control in the UK. In fact, they had a far better control in the UK. But when you went to Portugal and these places, I mean, you turned a corner and they were there. They opened up and you went through at 60, 70, 80, 90 mile an hour. Yeah. These silly buggers.
Did you ever experience any of that?
Yes, I did. We did San Remo with that car. No, we didn't. I did Corton Glaze. With the Metro 6R4 as well, and around to the championship, and I think we finished 2nd or 3rd. Carlos Sainz won it. He was in what was he in? Toyota? I can't remember. But Carlos won it. We were either 2nd or 3rd with the Metro. Corton Glaze Rally.
Yeah. How does that car rate amongst the cars that you've driven? How does it rank amongst the cars?
I was the most. I wouldn't say it was the nicest car to drive, but if you got everything right in the Metro, you come out with a smile on your face. No, it was just. And in these days, there was no fly-off handbrake or anything like that. You had to set the car up. To get it to where you were. It was quite a different car to drive compared with what I was used to, a rear-wheel drive man to a handbrake, and there wasn't the handbrake didn't work in these things. Well, the handbrake worked, but it locked all 4 wheels. But I think later on, the ones that came out on the City National Championship, they had like fly-off handbrakes. They could lock the back diff. They could separate it. They could. separate the centre diff so that he just locked the back.
Well, Jimmy, thank you ever so much. It has been a genuine privilege to speak to you and a pleasure. Thank you very much.
No problems, fine.
Meanwhile, as part of our celebrations of the Metro 6R4, on our Patreon page we have moved the glorious 6R4 video from being top tier only to any paid tier. So if you subscribe to our Patreon page, you'll be able to see that, as well as a glorious Group B DVD, and that is available to top tier Patreon supporters as well. Please, if you've enjoyed the video, please click on the little bell. Do subscribe to the channel because there's more videos that you'll enjoy coming down the line. And please, please, please do spread the word and share the video amongst your friends. Many thanks. See you next time.
Mm-hmm.